Betrayal sparks a lot of questions for a partner. One of the first questions a partner will answer for him or herself is, can I tolerate living like this any longer? Most partners will respond with a resounding no, which leads them then to a second question. Is there hope that this sex addiction can get any better? For some partners, the answer will be no. They'll decide this because either there's been too much ruin in the relationship or they feel that the addict is underinvested in recovery. At this point, some partners will opt out of the relationship. But what we know is that partners who choose to leave need just as much support as partners who choose to stay. As they enter this new phase of life, the weight of betrayal doesn't disappear along with the relationship, and it still requires some attention. But I'm going to focus on that in another video and shift back to that second question that a partner asks, is there hope that this sex addiction can get better? Some partners will decide the answer to that is yes, and they'll identify the possibility of addiction recovery and also recovery for the relationship. This puts them then in a planning stage. Some partners will plan to sit back and put the recovery work in the addict's lap and wait and watch to see how the addict might restore the relationship after having gotten more healthy. What we find, though, is over time, this approach actually unravels into more peril for the relationship as it fails to address the trauma that happened for the partner. So when a partner's faced with that question, is there hope? And they respond with, I need to heal. Then they have opened the door for that to happen, and the possibility of repair in the relationship is preserved. Healing for the partner involves gaining therapeutic support, addressing the trauma, and also assessing the impact of sex addiction. Now, there are 5 domains or zones of impact that a partner needs to explore: physical, sexual, cognitive, emotional, and then ultimately existential components to a person all experience ramifications from the problematic sexual behavior. We call this complex partner trauma, and there are 5 layers to this onion. First, there's the core of the initial betrayal, the wounds from the infidelity, which would be enough for any person to recover from, but it doesn't stop there. Staggered disclosure adds another layer of trauma, as the partner often experiences a series of lies and deceits from the addict, which are made in effort to conceal the problematic behavior. Studies have shown us that the addict will lie and deceive out of 2 general fears. First, the fear of hurting the partner, and secondly, fear of the partner's reaction. But no matter how protective the addict feels his or her actions may be, these lies generate yet another layer of trauma for the partner, as it causes some disorientation to the partner's reality and a dulling effect on her ability to trust her own gut feelings. Sometimes years of this covert emotional abuse take place before the partner truly discovers what is going on. And thus a 3rd layer of trauma occurs for the partner in the form of relationship disrepair, wherein communication turns raw and trust erodes rapidly. The relationship functions at this off-kilter type of way, and partners often feel invalidated about their feelings and their hunches. Out of this, a 4th layer of complex partner trauma develops, that of living in an altered life state. Feelings of isolation, confusion, desperation, and operating below one's potential can occur as the current feeling state of the partner becomes incongruent with her hopes for her relationship or for the dreams she had for her own life. Sometimes then a 5th layer of trauma envelops the partner, a layer of self-betrayal wherein she finds herself acting outside of her character and compounding the trauma as a result. Sometimes this takes form in retaliative efforts, such as having an affair to give the addict a taste of his own medicine, or the formation of her own maladaptive coping strategies due to need for relief from such acute pain. Actions such as these, although understandable, still betray the self and add to the rubble heap. The partner's experience is full of complex thoughts and feelings, and it's complicated by a lot of triggers and ambivalence. Once discovery happens, the partner may develop a sense of hypervigilance, and this is part of living in that altered life state. Even in cases where the addict is on a healthy and sober recovery track, hypervigilance doesn't necessarily go away. In fact, sometimes we find that it increases during this time, causing some frustration for the addict, who generally wants to rebuild trust as soon as possible. One thing the addict can know is that it's going to require a lot of patience and a lot of empathy during this time. One way that I help my partner clients communicate this to the addict in their life is by having them close their eyes. And I say to them, when you open your eyes, I want you to just absorb all the yellow that you see in the room. Upon opening their eyes, a lot of partners are able to identify yellow everywhere. They see it in the flowers, they see it in the pillows on my chairs, hints of yellow in the pictures on the wall. And what they say is, I see yellow everywhere. This is what it feels like for me. With his sex addiction, I'm finding myself zeroing in, always looking for clues, looking for the yellow to figure out if this person is acting out again. I need to feel safe, and that's what hypervigilance is all about. It develops out of a real need to protect oneself from ever having the rug pulled out from under them again. Sometimes hypervigilance can lead to self-betraying behaviors, such as secretly following the addict in the car or devoting oneself to identifying paper trails. And while these behaviors may have initially assisted the partner in detecting the sex addiction, over time they steal life away from the partner as he or she centers their life around the addict and alters their way of living to do so. Living in this anxiety is counterproductive to the partner's healing, and here they need empowerment. They need empowerment to be able to shift away from behaviors that keep them dancing with addiction and develop eyes to be able to observe the addict for demonstrations of healthy recovery. When a partner's focus shifts away from snooping behaviors toward healthy information gathering, then she is building her toolkit. And in that toolkit is not just a good understanding of healthy sex addiction recovery, but also a very comprehensive, well-developed list of needs and boundaries going forward in the relationship. When a partner is able to communicate her needs to the addict, then she's able to live life with some reduced anxiety and observe how the addict might make provision to meet those needs. Examples may include her requesting, I need you to initiate a weekly check-in with me about your recovery, or it would make me feel safer if you put a porn blocker on your iPhone. If the addict is unable to follow through with meeting these needs, then the partner has every right to take a look at that and determine for herself a threshold of how long she's willing to tolerate that behavior. And so, in closing, it's true that healing from betrayal is a lot of work. And it's also true that when trauma happens to us, it's just not fair that we have to put forth so much energy into the rebuilding process. However, for partners on this journey, albeit excruciating at times, wholeness and healing is possible. There are merits to being prompted to introspect on this level, and the resilience that can emerge for a man or a woman on this journey can set them on a trajectory of wholeness for a lifetime.